Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with a Wheel of Time Episode 1 review and reaction. Now, before I get started on this review, I am familiar with Wheel of Time. It seemed like a natural fantasy series to look at since I was a big fan of Game of Thrones. But Wheel of Time is very different since it's more of the era of Lord of the Rings. And I need to say up front, I'm going to handle the covering of this series different. I did not read the books, and to be honest with you, I tried. I tried to get into the first book, and I just couldn't. So I decided to cover the show as a viewer, since I imagine a significant amount of you who are going to be watching this show actually haven't sat down to read the books. So all of my videos are going to be completely spoiler-free on the books, and I am going to speculate and talk about where these characters are going and where I think the show is going based off my own thoughts and not off the book series. Second of all, the little that I did read about the book, I wasn't the biggest fan. In regards to the show, I can tell right off the bat they changed a lot. And I'm actually really glad that they did. Just like Game of Thrones, the book and the show are two completely different animals. It's a visual medium. You have to tell the story differently. And I don't know if this is a popular opinion, but the first episode of this show and what it conveyed, I actually liked significantly more than the book. But that's just me. But now let's get into the show. I think this episode did a great job at doing what a pilot is supposed to do. It introduces you to the world, and it gives you a hook to make you want to come back and live in that world. And it really tethers you to the show by introducing you to characters that you like. So first of all, the world. There was a little bit of explaining, but I think there was a lot of great visuals that this show dived into that I didn't necessarily see in the books. And first of all is this landscape. And I absolutely love it because it establishes the world so well. They talk about the Wheel of Time and how you go through different cycles of destruction and birth. And we see what looks like a bunch of mountain pillars. It's a fantasy landscape. But if you look closer, they're buildings. They seem like buildings to me. And I love that because it shows that this world is so much more than just another fantasy epic. So that in itself I thought was great. Another scene that opened up the rules of the world that I loved was this man who was running from his life from these women wearing red cloaks, and he was being hunted down because men cannot control their innate magic ability, unlike women. And I just loved how they handled that scene. They showed his insanity because he thought he was with his friend, and there was no one there. So it was scenes like that and visuals like that that I actually thought were really powerful, really enjoyed it. And I think through the whole episode that I loved is the absolute beauty of this show. I love the landscapes that they picked, and it was very colorful. I feel like we went through a really dark time with media. Like Game of Thrones, I'm going to call back to that show a lot. But this one seemed more colorful, more fun. So I think that was a really good change of pace. And another huge change of pace is the magic. I think the CGI a little bit might have been hit and miss. But I think they did show a good amount of what the Aes Sedai can do. And I think the last establishing shot with Moiraine fighting off the Trollocs was really significant because we saw all these main characters that we were introduced to that were struggling to fight one Trolloc, and we see Egwene use her magic and wipe them out like nothing. And I think that really establishes where we're going as a show, and that is we're going to be seeing Rand, Egwene, Perrin, and Mat all become badass in their own right, and I think that's great. But now moving on to the characters, and I'll save the worst for first, okay? This might be another unpopular opinion. Rand, to me, was the least interesting character in this whole episode. To be honest with you, the only reason that I liked Rand a little bit was because they established a romantic relationship with Egwene, a character where I think the show did a much better job at establishing her role. I think they did a good job at establishing Egwene's drive and motivations, that she really wants to be Nynaeve's right-hand person. And that was a change that they made in the books that I really liked. I liked how Egwene and Rand had an established relationship. And I'm really interested to see where that goes. Now, in terms of Perrin, I thought he was an okay character. And then what made me love him was what they did with his character arc at the end, when they established either his girlfriend or his wife. And he ended up killing her because he was in the moment fighting this Trolloc. He was anxious. And I think that was such a powerful moment in his character, and I'm excited to see him try and come to terms with that. Right now, it's this giant burden of a secret that he's hanging on to. So I absolutely loved what they did with his character. And probably my favorite character in the show, which honestly makes me very upset, was Mat. In this episode, Matt was my favorite character. He was the character that every time he was on screen, I got excited. And I'm very sad to hear the news that Barney Harris, the guy who is playing Matt, has been recast. I don't know why. I don't know if it's personal reasons, but he was the guy who I look forward to seeing on screen. I loved how he was a really charismatic guy, always had on a smile, but also he was dealing with a lot of hardships at home, and he had to be kind of a guardian for his sisters, but he's also rough around the edges. So all in all the 4 characters, I did like them. However, Rand, I was bored by him. I felt like he was the cookie cutter hero, the cookie cutter chosen one. And I hope they do more with Rand in the future. And the last thing I'll say with the 4 characters is I like how we finished off the episode with a question on who the Dragon Reborn is. I think it's great that it's more of a mystery. And we don't just have one main character who's the chosen one. We're following 4 who are discovering themselves, and they're going to end up discovering their own roles. But all in all, I think it was great. I think it did everything a pilot needed to do. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the show goes. And the more I find out about the show, the more I might be privy to make prediction videos where I can discuss what I think will happen, but at this point, it is way too soon. I know that the Wheel of Time is a 14-book series, so I know a lot is going to be cut down. Everything is going to be streamlined, and it's going to tell a cohesive story on TV. So I'm really excited to see that. But anyways, that is it for today. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'm going to continue to do Wheel of Time videos, and I am not going to read the books. There are a lot of great YouTubers out there who do breakdowns, who are avid book fans. I would check out Daniel Green. He has an excellent channel. As for me, I'm going to treat this as an individual who's watching a TV show for the first time. But now that that's established again, I will see you guys later. Take care.